Hey, it's Chris here, founder, developer of Detroit 911. And in this video, I'm going to go over the architecture from a cloud engineer perspective. So right now I have a bunch of different resources here. I'll explain exactly how they all work together in a minute. But overall, how it works, there's a EventBridge schedule that ingests 911 calls from the public internet, from the ArcGIS or ArcGIS service that's used by the city of Detroit to document and to plot their 911 calls in their map. Right now it runs on a schedule using EventBridge through a schedule through a task scheduler. This task scheduler is set to emit the Lambda function around 8 a.m. Because the Lambda function lives inside of a private subnet, there was some workaround that I had to do in order for it to talk to the ArcGIS service. I don't know why I keep getting that messed up, but I had to talk to it some way, and I did not want to expose that resource to the public internet. So what I did was create a public subnet with a NAT table and an additional routing table for the Lambda to talk to that NAT gateway. And then that NAT gateway will then handle routing the traffic out to the public internet via the API gateway. So that way, this never gets exposed to the public internet. There's no IP address attached to it or anything like that. So that's good. The next thing that I want to talk about is privatizing the RDS subnets. So I mean the RDS databases. So I have them in a subnet group. I have two private subnets. That's what that represents down here. And the way I securely connect to my RDS instance is using a Bastion host. So I have a Bastion host inside of the private subnet, the same ones that the Lambdas live in. And then I'm using Session Manager inside of AWS to access the Postgres database. So I don't have to remotely access it through an IP address. Same way, I don't have to expose the ETL Lambda that I talked about previously. So that's how that works. So it privately talks to these resources. And another layer of security is to ensure that this service and the Lambda services are only allowed to talk to the RDS database. So there's like another layer of protection there. The next thing I want to talk about is the front end. So the front end uses S3. So I'm using Next.js and exporting those static files into the S3 bucket. And I have the S3 bucket behind a Cloudfront, which is responsible for allowing me to keep my S3 bucket private, because I didn't like the idea of having that exposed to the internet, and that's not a best practice anyway. So I have a Cloudfront which handles a lot of the security for me, like DDoS attacks and all that kind of stuff. So that's where, that's where the URL provided by the CloudFront is how the users will access the application. But what I don't have in this diagram is the Route 53, which I forgot to add. So I did some Route 53 configuration to move my domain from Squarespace over to AWS. So there were some things that I had to do there. But yeah, so far, and I think one last thing, the API gateway, which also talks to the Lambda functions based upon the routes that comes in, right? So if somebody wants to see incidents, the app will call the incidents endpoint, and it's allowed by CORS because I have the cross-origin resource sharing configured to accept requests from CloudFront. CloudFront then calls the Lambda functions. Then the Lambda functions securely, and there's an arrow missing for that, but it was there when I was playing around with it. I think it got deleted by accident. But in matter of fact, I'll just draw it here now. Probably not going to be the best, but yeah. So these Lambda functions talk to the RDS database to query data, and they only have read access. So that's another thing I want to talk about, is that these Lambda functions will never be responsible for anything except for retrieving data. And this one is the only function. This Lambda function is the only one that has write access to the database. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. This is designed for cost effectiveness and as well as scalability. So thankfully that services like CloudFront and S3 does allow me to host my application around the world with low latency and also it elastically scales based upon the traffic. But traffic won't be a very big issue anyway, just due to the niche market of this application. So yeah, that's about it for right now. I'm still planning on adding more features later on down the pipe. I'm going to be adding like machine learning, some other cool stuff because there's a lot of interesting things and metrics we can get out of the 911 calls that I'm harvesting right now. So once again, thanks for watching and take care and see you in my next one.